So happy to be back to SEO Talk. It's always a fantastic way to start the week. So, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of SEO Talk Spaces, episode 120. And today's topic is one that every SEO founder, marketer is secretly thinking about. Are our SEO metrics broken in the age of AI search? So, with AI mode, keeping users inside the panel, zero click searches are rising, and Google deciding which websites to show. So, our classic KPI dashboards are losing its meaning. So, today we are not just discussing rankings and CTR, but we'll unpack how SEO impact is actually measured in the AI first world. So, yeah, let's right away get into it. Over to you, Malar.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, definitely welcome on episode 120 of SEO Talk. Always wonderful to have a bunch of listeners on this show. And like Parth mentioned, right, too many things happening with AIO, and for people like us who have been around for a while, you've always been chasing the numbers in terms of clicks, in terms of CTRs, and whatnot. But are they really relevant now? So, we are going to talk about all that and much more on the show today. Stay tuned till the end, and if you're listening on the replay, thank you so much for that because you're coming back on this. Uh, so, let's get started with the first question, and just to segue into it because uh, see, we talked about AI mode, AI overviews, etc. So my first question is just around that, and like with AI mode keeps users inside a panel, right? And uh, so are clicks, CTRs, traffic still meaningful SEO metrics that one should be tracking? Parth?
It's a great one to kickstart today's session. I think so. CTR and clicks cannot be the primary metric anymore because I think so. AI mode resolves the whole purpose of that particular query or the question right away with the answer. So uh, the whole purpose is solved there. So it doesn't send any traffic to the website. Now, going forward, we need to look at metrics that measure visibility and influence inside this AI mod panel. So that is where we need to look into.
Fantastic. Deepak, any thoughts from your side? From an agency point of view, are brands still looking at clicks and CTRs again? Yeah. Yes, Deepak.
I don't think I would completely align with what Parth said. Clicks and CTR are not relevant nowadays because we can see constantly that uh, impressions are going up, clicks are going down, and you can you can't just measure CTR as a metric.
No, fantastic. So I will. What I also wanted to say. So while we as SEOs probably have matured and say, okay, clicks, CTRs may still not be relevant. So my next question was, what happens for a brand? Do you think there is an education also needed from an agency or your SEO professional point of view to tell brands, "Ki, boss, these are not the metrics now. This is there, but they are not as much important as of now." If anyone wants to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, Deepak, go ahead. Then I'll continue.
Um, Actually, thing is, currently we don't have the right metrics, to tell the brands that okay, we can switch from this CTR to this. Okay, so this is the problem. They want something mm, that can assure them that we are going doing some good. But how can we tell that CTR is not good? CTR is not a metric to track. Then the question they would ask, then what should we track? Should we track AI visibility, as we have already discussed over it? That is not that is also not a metric to track, because currently we don't have any first, uh, like that we have Google Search Console. We don't have any analytics tool from LLMs itself, like ChatGPT or anything else, even Google Gemini.
Absolutely.
Totally agreed. Yeah, totally agreed. There was a study carried by done by Kevin Indig, who runs this newsletter called Growth Memo, and as per that study, they had studied like they had run an experiment for 1 million prompts, and 77% of those sessions had zero external visits. So that's one conclusive way. And talking about the metrics, I think so. There is paid social and there is organic social. So even if there is a clear uh, conversion tracking process for paid social, you run meta ads on Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever. But still, we go out there and run organic social campaigns. Why? Because we look forward to that visibility that, hey, this particular brand is creative enough, is riding on the trends, or sharing a bunch of statistics. So, in a similar way, when repetitively your brand is being shown up on these LLM answers, I think so it makes a lot of sense. And brands like, let's take example of Adobe, or let's take example of HubSpot. They would want to show up for any of their category related queries. They don't want to miss on the A visibility trend. So it becomes crucial. The impressions, the overall visibility, the share of voice compared to your competitors for that particular industry or categories is very important. I think so.
So yeah, Deepak.
So recently, I was talking with a brand who's they are selling some organic type of products, and um, when they when I asked, "Are you visible on LLMs?" They said yes. When I asked ChatGPT about this, my brand appears. Same thing. I searched on ChatGPT. I asked top XYZ brands in India. Their brands didn't appear. So thing is, we can't rely on these tools or anything. Like LLMs are highly unpredictable. What way will they produce in answers? Their answer depend on the user history and a lot of variables.
No, fair. Only so my thought process on that was also coming in from a point of view that when your clicks are going down, your CTR numbers are probably, say, lesser compared to what it was previously. How do you still pacify your customer and say, no, everything is going good? Do you go back and say, okay, while your clicks are going down, your impressions are going high, and hence probably there is an advantage in terms of visibility that you are getting across uh, different platforms, probably not just limited to SERPs. Is that a conversation that you have started having with your customers and stakeholders?
Yes, I think so. The conversations have already started, and until and unless the business owner, the marketer who is curious enough to check the visibility thing, but we also need to like, I don't bring that up until the whole website is up to the mark, the content strategy is in place, and there are no, like, everything is up to the mark like 80%. So there are still missing bits and pieces here and there, which is very important to kind of connect. And uh, there are leakages with respect to UI UX and CRO and stuff like that. And until and unless, like, it's not more than like 30-40% of the total traffic, I don't want uh, to digress. I don't want them to digress. At the same time, to satisfy their curiosity, I try to fetch numbers, and I try to show that, hey, in your industry, here is your visibility, here is your share of voice, and for sure we can get started. But hey, you are not missing the bus at the moment. Like, let's not digress and not focus on the important items. So that's where the current communication is going on. Um, but the main thing is, like, whatever traditional SEO approach is still going on, I make sure that the content format is updated with respect to how LLM. So it should kind of follow both the rules, not only traditional SEO, but the content format should be future proof. That's what I try to make sure.
Super. Deepak, you want to add something?
No, no, completely
Okay,
aligned.
cool. And the reason I asked that question was also, say, because my next question was pertaining to that in terms of ranking being a factor that we always considered from a brand point of view, or even from an SEO professional point of view, that okay, we were here and now you are here, right? That point movement from A to B was always tracked. So is that a KPI now also, or is it is a KPI but not an important one? We will focus more on LLM discovery, etc. Yeah, Deepak.
So while AI mode and AI overview and ChatGPT have, you know, just disrupted the informational uh, content, but I feel and I have observed when it comes to commercial intent keywords and phrases, if I rank higher on commercial keywords, I notice increase in sales and revenue very, very clear. So for commercial intent keywords, it is still a valuable KPI to track positions, especially positions.
Okay, and your observation at an informational keyword point of view, do you still track a ranking there, or do you focus more on the
I myself don't click any link when it comes to commercial intent. Even if even if I have to read something, in depth, I would rather use Perplexity or ChatGPT or Gemini to research on that topic and then read the whole thing. Or elsewhere, I use Google Notebook LM to summarize things, and you know they that Notebook LM even creates video and audio summaries that you can use. So I myself don't click on any link for informational content. What to expect from others?
Brilliant. Parth, Sugan, I don't know if you have a point of view here. Ranking still a factor that you track. Again, commercial versus informational intent, etc. Parth, you want to pick up? Yeah.
No, I think so. Yeah, I don't have any point to add here, but yeah, we can continue.
Okay. So fantastic. So now that, say, probably Deepak also mentioned that ranking as a KPI is good for commercial intent, which they still track, but when it comes to informational, uh, he looks at Perplexity or similar kind of tools which can aggregate the information. Now, this is a very tech or nerdy behavior. Do you think that this is a behavior also being followed by a larger community? That is one part of the question. The other part of the question was also coming in from, if that is the behavior that we are expecting to grow, will there be more importance placed on measuring influence of a brand when it comes to informational searches versus commercial searches or commercial intent? Parth?
Yeah, I think so. The brand factor applies for both informational as well as commercial. Um, but I've seen a bunch of studies where if a product is listed on um, popular marketplaces, but there is an underrated marketplace which doesn't rank in first, second, or third page, probably it's ranking on fourth or fifth page, but it has got those details, dimensions, and everything very well described on that particular PDP. So on LLMs, these underrated marketplaces are also being cited. And so for commercial, I would say if it's into consideration stage and if there's a research going on, there are high chances that even without being a brand, there are chances that if your content is very well kind of formatted and described well about all the other details about your product, then there are high chances that it show up. But overall, if we look at the brand search volume, the overall demand for that particular brand name, the trends and everything, and the amount of backlinks that you're building for that brand keyword. So all of these aggregated helps for sure. But I would love to know if Sugan has a point to add here.
Hey guys, how's everyone? Thought I didn't understand the question properly.
Yeah, so question, there are two parts to the question. One is, say, right before you joined, Deepak was sharing that, say, at a commercial intent level, the ranking as a KPI is still important. But when it comes to an informational intent, what he says the behavior or what his own behavior is, uh, they would go to Perplexity or similar other tools and rather look at an aggregated answer rather than say continuing their search on a Google or similar search engine. So is that one? So part one of the question was that is that a behavior which is very specific to few of us who are probably little nerdy, little better knowledge of LLMs, and it's not a larger audience which is having that behavior. The second part of the question is, are we expecting this behavior to grow and a larger audience picking up this behavior? And hence, will the KPI move from ranking as a factor to more like measuring citations, sentiments, etc.?
Oh yeah, thanks for that. That makes sense. Yeah, I think my personal opinion is the first question. It could be very well that it's a bunch of, as you said, nerdy people, because we know our way around these things and we know the pros and cons, and we also know the strengths and weaknesses of the LLMs and the search. So we can mix and match, but I don't think the large audience is ready yet. But I do think, I think, answer the second question, I do think it's slowly happening. Uh, I've seen it with quite a few people, even my family. I've seen it. Not so technical, but they're literally talking to ChatGPT about a subject. And I find myself doing that as well sometimes, especially like translation, live translation. It's really, really good. So it is happening, but when you're thinking about commercial, I have done some searches in commercial in ChatGPT, and then I found a few suggestions. Then I went to Google, and but then I find myself using more and more Google AI mode now, and they are overviews. I guess, yeah, I guess you can say that it's because we are in this industry, so we know this our way around, so we are using it more. But I think ordinary people, yeah, it's happening, but it's a very slow growth rate. I would say adaptation growth rate. I think it will take a few more years, and eventually we'll get there. But the commercial part is mostly intent, in my opinion. It's like comparisons. It's like where a user is sort of know aware of a brand, aware of something, but they're looking for some comparisons. Best, not really looking for best products, but they're most likely looking for comparison. For example, if you look at an informational query, best electric car for a family, where that's like on top of the final informational, then your commercial, you're looking at like comparing different car models, like Tesla versus BMW versus Audi, whatever, the EV, and then specifics, finding specifics about these models, like a range, Tesla model, I don't know, S range versus Nissan EV range. So there's commercial queries. I think people likely be doing that to get quick answers and better summarizations, because that's easier than going to a blog post in Google and reading it, where ChatGPT can tell you that very quickly, create a table or whatever, right? So yeah, that's how I see it. But yes, adaptation rate, to answer your second question, it's happening, but it will be a slow process. And also it depends on different niches as well, I say.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Now, since you are here, let me sneak in this question, which is totally non-related to the topic, but what do you make out of SEMrush acquisition by Adobe? Don't beat me
Ah,
for that.
oh, that's a good question. I think quite an interesting acquisition. I think I've been reading quite a lot about what everyone's sort of opinion. What most people are saying, few people are saying it's to do with AI search, because Adobe has a whole suite of products, right? Around video, photo, animation, whatever. They got all of that side covered. But one thing they don't have is the AI side. I mean, they do have AI a lot in the app, within the apps, but as a AI search part, I think, because if you look at it, SEMrush is done quite well in the enterprise side. The enterprise growth was really huge in the last year, I think. So I think it's a bit of both. They're looking for that. And also probably most likely the data, because SEMrush recently bought the Datos. I don't know if you guys are aware of Datos. So Datos is the company that Jumpshot back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember, Jumpshot got shut down because I think the practice of how they collect clickstream data, and the owners, the founders, they went and started Datos. So Datos had all these data points that you could get from people. Like Datos would tell you, you put a query, how many percentage of the users who search a query, went to a certain website and bought something, they have that data. So SEMrush recently bought them as well. Not only that, SEMrush bought a whole bunch of marketing sites, search engine land, and then they bought backlink code, they got whole site. These sites, I mean, rank really well, so they could set certain narrative, right? So they could change the narrative around a subject quite easily by using multiple properties. That always rank really, really high. So I think Adobe's play here is a multiple play. I don't think it's just one thing. I think they're doing for multiple reasons. One is likely to do the AI, one to do the enterprise. They can bring all their customers and the data SEMrush has. It's actually quite valuable to them. And also continuous collection of data. That's what I think Adobe is trying to do. But as with all our experience with Adobe, we know whenever Adobe buys a product, it goes to crap. We hope that's not the case with SEMrush. But yeah.
I was going to talk about that, but again, you stole that thunder. But thank you. Thanks for being so candid in that answer. And yeah, it's lovely inputs. Uh, okay. Let me go back to the subject. So, for benefit of everyone, and uh, again, I will segue into it from that previous question in a way that uh, see, how do we quantify the SEO impact now? Because at this point of time, we are in a flux in terms of, okay, should I still look at the old KPIs and highlight the impact, or should I talk about some of those new stuff and talk about impact? So where do we balance this out and quantify the SEO impact, defining brand perception, etc.? First,
Yes. Okay, so I think that depends on so if you look at the SERP, traditional SERP, and now things have changed. Um, so for that particular category and industry, like how things have changed in recent 2 years, and based on that, um, what is the brand visibility overall? If we look at it week over week, month over month, quarter over quarter, and that's going to be a very um, crucial thing for any brand out there. So check the brand search demand out there, and what is the overall visibility status with respect to brand as well as non-brand queries or phrases or prompts, whatever you want to call it. And after all of this, like, what has been the change with the direct traffic, the conversions through direct traffic, the conversions through referral traffic? I think so. eh, Getting all of this data in one place and then trying to understand the whole picture, how is naturally, like, naturally from traditional SEO to AI first approach, how are things moving, and where is the effort required? I think so, based on that.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think adding to what Parth said, what I would do first thing, set up analytics. So GA4, I'll make sure the events are set up correctly for your conversion tracking. So depending on your site, if it's a blog, if it's a lead gen site, if it's an e-com, whatever, you set up the events, you set up the event value as well. So conversion value for each event. Say someone comes to your landing page, fills a form, you track as a conversion, you assign an average value for that order, whatever the value for that lead. That's the first thing I'd do. And then, as Parth said correctly, set up the referral traffic, set up all the LLMs traffic coming in. So you can start the attribution from day one. You can start seeing, hey, how much traffic am I getting from ChatGPT, and what's the conversion looks like. That would be the first step, because I wouldn't do any LLM work, anything, unless there's enough data there that is justifiable for your. Then you can go back to your manager or whoever you're working for, or the company, and present them the data and say, look, there's significant amount of traffic coming in through ChatGPT. So we are clearly getting cited. Now we need to go next level. What is it? We need to start looking through all the prompts, whatever the keywords. we need to appear in. Let's start working on it. Create those listicles, add the content, do whatever we have to do. I think a lot of people are jumping on this because the reason is the pressure coming from the C-suite or the management, because these people are sitting on LinkedIn looking through all these posts talking about how SEO is dead and LLM is the next thing, GE or whatever you call it. But they're not really, they're kind of missing the point. Like, hey, does your brand, does your niche has any traffic? Is there anything coming in? There's any demand that's coming from these LLM models? If yes, then definitely work on that model. Then I will also further look at individual model and think, okay, you guys, I'm sure you guys all know that each model works in a different way. So some are grounded, some are not. So then I will try to figure out that specific LLM model. If ChatGPT is the highest traffic, okay, then I'll start researching into. Then I'll start looking at, okay, I'm going to track ChatGPT queries, Ahrefs, SEMrush, whatever the tool you use, and then start looking through those brand mentions. That's how I would work.
Fantastic point. I just wanted to bring up this thing in terms of, say, while someone is fixing for a certain LLM based on, say, attribution information they have got, but at the same point of time, we have, say, tools like Perplexity who are more like wrappers to different LLMs. Uh, should that be also a part of consideration, or should the person just look at optimizing for a certain LLM and not worry about any other wrappers that would be out there?
Yeah, I mean, they use, I mean, they're more like a wrapper that, they request many. I think they take your query and get some sort of semantic understanding, and then they'll run a bunch of queries themselves. I think then try to track what, all of the models are saying, and they're going to smash it together and summarize it for you. As I said earlier, it all depends on, good answer, all depends on the demand. If there's demand, then work on it. Otherwise, don't bother. But end of the day, if you're looking at even Perplexity and any other sort of summarization kind of models, you need to be seen on all the models. I mean, if you work on one model, eventually it's going to help the other model. So if you're going to start creating loads of content around one topic and get all those citations, mentions, and high authority sites, Reddit, you start spamming the hell out of Reddit, whatever you do. Once that's done, that's going to automatically help with all of the models anyway. So it's a statistical game. I think, I don't know who said it, probably Dejan. Nobody knows how all of these things works exactly. I mean, if someone is telling you they can optimize it, it's just they're not really telling the truth. Nobody really knows. Everyone is trying to figure this out. We all try to figure it out. And I've been doing a lot of experiments, and I'm finding one day I'm winning, and next day it's not really, like shit. Yeah, all gone. But yeah, that's the nature of LLM.
I guess we talked about this few weeks back on Spaces as well, that everyone is probably thinking I have the right playbook, but no one knows which is the right playbook. So uh, I
That's
totally,
true.
yeah, totally agree. We are in the same.
One thing though, one thing about LM is the work never stops. At least with Google, you have some breathing space. You got one page, you want to rank it for a couple of keywords. You get all of those links, and you do all the on-page work. You get the page to the first page of Google. You kind of know it's kind of going to be there for a few months at least, as long as the companies are not so aggressive. And the more internal links, all the work you do, you're going to push them up slowly. There's some sort of guarantee it's going to be there for a while, and you're going to get those traffic, you're going to make those sales. But that's not the case with LLM at all. So yeah.
Yeah, no, totally true. So that's where the next question was also coming in terms of, are we focusing more now in terms of improving our visibility across LLMs and similar tools, whereas earlier we focused more on traffic and conversions per se? Is that the way forward for brands and SEOs?
I
Yep.
think so. Not until. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I think so. Not until there is a considerate amount of uh, traffic that we start seeing. We still have got traffic through traditional SERP, and there's a lot to be covered. Um, and as I mentioned in probably the last one, last week, that CRO is also very important. Whatever amount of organic traffic you're getting, even your organic traffic has dropped by 30%, 40%, you still have that 60, 70%, which you can go ahead and optimize your conversions for. So that is also very crucial. Having said that, parallelly looking at the trends, how your competitors are appearing on these LLMs, based on that, you can start investing and kind of not uh, uh, stay behind in this particular game. So that is what one can start for sure. And obviously, whatever content strategy that you are working on right now, make sure that you format that content into chunks so it's easy for retrieval, and it's future proof, and have a strategy in place where you keep on updating your older content, like at least go out and check if there's any enhancement required with respect to formatting, with respect to statistical updates, and with respect to um, any factual data. So yeah, uh, these are the things I think I would probably take care of.
A fantastic point, and the reason I jumped in quickly on this one is, see, on a personal front, at the brand that I work with, and as a marketing leader, should I go back to my SEO agency and say, okay, I know the traffic is 20% down or 30% down, and should I presume that the traffic which is 20% or 30% down was more top funnel traffic, which is probably gone to an LLM, but we still have the rest 70% of the traffic, which is probably a mid funnel and bottom funnel traffic, which I can still optimize and bring them for conversions, etc. Should that be the conversation we start looking at and quantifying that conversation in terms of, okay, here is, say, your say probably uh, say commercial intent content, right, which is still getting a 70% convert traffic per se. uh, I'm just trying to figure out, so okay, what conversation should we be having now, because that 30% traffic is gone, but I still want to say that whatever is gone is not just gone from your website, it is probably gone to a different platform.
Let me ask you a question on that. How do you know that 30% you lost? Say you lost 30% of the traffic and you're assuming it's the top of the funnel traffic. So even if you got the 30% traffic, do you have any attribution setup that tells you those 30% traffic converted into sales or anything meaningful? I think this is the most single important thing. Literally, I've seen hundreds of people complaining about losing traffic where they don't even have good attribution setup. They are not really tracking this. They're just reporting these numbers as winnings, right? So most agencies do that. I mean, we have an agency. It's normal. So you have to show clients you're doing the work and you're getting them results, right? So you show like, hey, there's 50,000 traffic, whatever organic hits we got you this month, but without an attribution, it's this vanity metric, in my opinion. So unless you really have a good funnel and a good setup, analytics, whatever the analytics software is tracking all those sessions and the conversions, most importantly, and then you know, okay, I lost 30% traffic, but it had a very little impact on my actual revenue because now most of the queries that we convert are middle to the bottom of the funnel or transactional content. So technically, you didn't lose the 30% traffic because that probably went to an LLM where the chances of your brand showing up because you have content which LLMs refer to, they're probably showing you there. So when a buyer's journey, they're doing shopping around in LLMs, they're seeing your brand and they're probably then going into say best, I don't know, best EV and your Audi and they're seeing Audi keep coming up in LLMs, right? Whatever the Audi model is. And they're like then going into Google and say Audi versus, I don't know, BMW AV. And then they're finding your website or some other content, comparison content on your page, and then coming in and then they're landing, probably buying. I don't think anyone's going to buy a car like that, but just an example, could be anything. So that's what I would say.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, well put. And I completely agree because attribution is probably, or attribution probably has been the biggest challenge for marketers. And every every person that marketer interacts with or is part of a business wants an attribution to themselves, right? So this is a perennial challenge that from an attribution point of view. uh, I know Deepak has been around pretty yeah, Path, sorry, you are saying
Yeah,
something.
just wanted to add a point here. I am totally aligned and totally makes sense, Sugan, your point. Um, Also, one more thing is if top of the funnel traffic is going away because of LLM, now there are chances that uh, it's difficult to compete with other giants in your industry, and the informational traffic that you were receiving, which was not converting, is gone. And the giants in your category have been showing up on LLMs with their brands being mentioned and cited. But I think so. There's still room for YouTube and Reddit. These are the two platforms very which are getting frequently cited. So putting out top of the funnel content on those platforms should be part of the content strategy. I recently experimented on Reddit and I put out a post which was on one of the blogs of one of my clients, which received less than probably 5,000 traffic in 6 months. But I put a similar post on Reddit and it was generated purely through ChatGPT. And in under 3 weeks, it got 150,000 impressions. And the organic visibility is and then you can play around with clickbait title and storytelling and with images. There's no algorithm, there's no uh, content quality raters guidelines, there's no EAT on obviously you need to follow the guidelines of that particular subreddit and overall. But yeah, so that's one thing which I so Reddit and YouTube are is currently very important in your content strategy overall.
All right, thank you. I know Deepak has been around but little silent, so Deepak, if you want to chip in with your thoughts, anything that you want to pick up and share.
No, no, I'm fine.
Guys, I
Please
I
continue.
want to add one thing here. I personally think we are also worried about the wrong things, because if you guys look at what's happening with AI mode, when initially it showed up as AI overviews, and then slowly AI mode became a thing, and then AI mode became a part of the search button, the universal search, and then recently Google put that into the Chrome, so it's right in the Chrome's search bar. So Google has been quite aggressively pushing that. I think few days ago I saw Brody, I think it's Brody Clark, he saw a bunch of ads inside the AI mode, Google Ads. Now, I think as an industry, this should be our biggest worry over time. If AI mode to become default, I know someone at Google said that some time ago, and then it was a PR disaster. They had to walk back on it and saying, no, it's not gonna happen anytime soon or whatever. But my opinion is it is gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. I think what Google is doing is Google clearly saw ChatGPT as a biggest threat to their business. So they developed a product that they haven't completely replaced search. They're letting people use the search and they're waiting to for the adaptation, user adaptation. They're using ChatGPT, OpenAI to do all the hard work to get people into it. Once people more used to it, Google is slowly start pushing it. As you can see, the more ChatGPT usage went up, Google started aggressively pushing the AI mode everywhere. Now it's everywhere. And the biggest thing is keeping them from making that default is the Google Ads. It's a whole big business there. So Google don't want to lose money there, but they don't want to lose the long game either to ChatGPT. So they're sort of competing and they're going head to head with ChatGPT on this. So end of the day, what's going to happen is it all depends on the user behavior. If Google sees a massive amount of people started using AI mode because they're already collecting data, already collecting usage, click data. They're collecting everything, right? Like the follow-ups, all of that. Now, this should be our biggest worry. I don't think many people are talking about it.
Oh, 100%. And I guess it's just a matter of time that we probably, or you're most likely to see ads in some form appearing on those AI overviews, right? It's just a matter of time. And we know that we have seen how Google operates over the years. And that's a big business. So they can't afford to lose out on ads because that's where the dollars come for them. So interesting thing because I know while we are talking about this topic internally between me and Path also mentioned about uh, exit ready landing pages. Hope I'm getting that correctly, Path. Uh, do you want to just pick on that and then we move to the next one? Would you sorry, loss of word. What would you mean by exit ready landing pages?
Sorry, I missed that. Exit ready landing pages. So,
So the
mhm.
question was coming in more in terms of are we entering a world where exit ready landing pages matter more than rankings? So that was a larger question that I wanted to pick up, but then say because there I was also intrigued by exit ready landing pages.
Oh yeah, okay, I got you. So, by exit ready landing pages, I think so. The users who are keen to purchase are going to leave AI mode after looking at the comparisons, after looking at all the details. Um, but at the same time, when it happens, the landing page must convert uh, instantly because all of the information has been kind of served with the right intent, with the comparison tables, everything on the LLM. So it is important to check the journey, and over a period of time when we know that the behavior has changed, I think so. The websites would have just landing pages, not for organic search, but like landing pages which would be similar to the ads we used to run. So, which had, so for example, if a person is selling courses, very professional copywriting section by section with CTAs, and so yeah, I think so. We could move in that direction. That is what the assumption is at this point in time.
It's like a PPC landing pages part. So what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. PPC landing pages, absolutely. I saw this tweet somewhere today that this ex CEO of Twitter, Parag Agarwal or whoever, is building a platform called Parallel or something like that, where you can build a website where each landing page will have two versions, one for human, the other one in markdown format for these LLMs. So it's interesting, and I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
going to talk about the MD because we recently added. I don't know if you guys know to our tool. We recently added all the MD exports because we found a bunch of customers. They're like, hey, we don't want docs, we don't want CSVs. We just want to export as a MD, so you can easily put that into the LLM, our, whatever the workflow we are doing. So that's quite interesting. So you just mentioned that. So we did add the MD files. Now, one other thing, I think we're also kind of missing out on the agentic search, because I truly think agentic search is the future of search, because that obviously it might not going to happen in a year or so. It's going to take some time, but we are there already. There's a bunch of tools, Gemini and all of them, deep thinking or thinking deep research model. They all can do this. Because right now, if you think about it, everyone is crazy about prompt tracking, because we are thinking, oh, take one subject and someone's going to do a long prompt, right? But we have to go beyond that, because if you look at the agentic, you could go in, you can write an entire paragraph, you can write an entire essay about what you want, and then use the deep thinking model. So, for example, I use Gemini 3 now. So I use the 3 thinking model. I just go and give the whole thing. I was just like, I'm looking for a car, something SUV within this budget. I have a family, I've got 3 kids, need enough space. I need in this area. I don't want to buy from private sellers. Go find me, reputable sellers with certain amount of rankings or ratings. And can you also do some research on those garages that sell, or the agents that sell? Look at Reddit and find out what most people are saying. I'm going to do a whole job, and I let the age thinking model do the work for me. So I do it all the time. So I've done it last week for health insurance, because it was so confusing to buy health insurance, private insurance, because there's so many providers. No one is upfront about everything. They give you a whole lot of list of like hospitals they cover, networks. It's all confusing. So I went to an aggregator site, asked them for a quote. I used that quote as a benchmark, and I said, go and find out all the other quotes. And it did the whole thing for me and gave me a final sort of final actionable sort of output. So I think we have to again look beyond the current LLM search. I don't think that's the future. I think the agentic search is the future. Because if you guys look at Manus, I don't know if any of you use Manus, the work they have done in the space is incredible. I would say Manus is even better than Gemini. It's better than every other tool, because they do connect to a bunch of LLMs, but the setup is amazing. They recently came up with this Chrome extension, so you can install that. And then Manus, you can tell a job. So my business partner, Andy, he does a lot of SEO work using Manus, because he says, hey, go to Href, open Href in my tab, another, go Chrome tab, go do research, find all the keywords, filter it. You just give the instruction, the Manus actually does the whole thing for him in his local machine. It's incredible. I think this is where the future is, my personal opinion.
Oh wow. No, definitely. I guess so. Because I guess last week I was introduced to one of Google's own tool, Google Opal. I think Deepak or someone else also mentioned about it. And I tried my hands around it, and for folks like us who probably leverage tools like Make or N8N, etc., where you used to manually build agents. Now, an Opal, you just give a prompt and it will create an agent for you and do bunch of stuff like you talked about, right? I can use a wrapper tool, Perplexity, etc., to do bunch of things, because I kind of installed Comet as a browser and doing bunch of stuff there, right? So totally agree that yes, the way search as a service, it could be leveraged, because right now we are still thinking of individual searches, but uh, the age is not so far where search is becoming a service also, and we should be ready for that totally. Parth?
Yep, totally agreed. I think so. We have to think beyond humans. What tasks human might look forward to get accomplished, and based on those task instructions, what terms or what queries are these LLMs going to search? So we have to look at that journey, and is our content present um, across all the social as well as the website, the support section of our website, and can it connect all the dots and still find that hey, XYZ is a good um, car seller. And so yeah, that's where we have to think. And I think so eventually these SEO tools will evolve and provide those information. I think so query fanouts is one such, but yeah, entities and vector embeddings and then stuff like that, we everything will be weaved into those features with the semantic concepts of cosine similarity and whatnot. So yeah.
All right.
Whatever comes, we got to remember, end of the day, we still have to create the content for the models.
100%, 100% on that. Right. So, unfortunately, we are just up on the hour, but it was so lovely to have all of you come in and share your thoughts. Again, Deepak, but thank you so much for sharing all the candid conversations. And I'm sure uh, on the replay it would sound much more better after all the editing. But this is a topic which is ongoing, I guess. Like Sugan also mentioned, and like we talked about it previously, this is a playbook. All of us are just trying out, figuring what is the best way, and it's ever evolving because LLMs are not going to stop here. They will continue to surprise us with the speed and all the stuff. But thank you so much for all the insights, and for folks who are probably listening on the replay, thank you again. Stay tuned. We'll have few more interesting topics lined up before end of the year.